our channel! Things have changed drastically. It's absolutely Baltic now. We're probably being a little bit dramatic. So, this video is about a drought. We are obviously not dressed for a drought. We're dressed for the winter time.
It's hard to believe that there was a drought 4 months ago.
I know, isn't it mad?
Absolutely
sweating. So if you saw any of our previous videos, there about 4 months ago there was a drought here in Ireland and in the UK as well. Yeah.
I think so.
Anyway, we had to obviously change up things on the farm here because of the drought. So in our other videos we would have seen we were feeding heifers, silage, things like that, and we were feeding the cows zero graze out in the fields. So towards the end of the drought, just when the rain kind of started, so coming up in the video, you'll see we had the cows inside, or we were cleaning cubicles and feeding zero graze inside in the sheds. So I'll let Pádraig explain now why we decided to do that.
Just I suppose when the drought was coming to an end, when the rain eventually came, it came all of a sudden when it rains a pour, so there was fairly torrential rain, and that meant then that we decided the best thing to do was, obviously when the rain comes, the grass doesn't come immediately. It takes maybe a week to 10 days for things to turn around. So in the meantime then we had to fill the gap. So we continued to bring back zero graze grass from the out farm, and instead of feeding it outside like we had been doing when it was dry, we decided to feed it inside because the cows would be doing less mess and, you know, less damage to the ground, because it would, you know, wouldn't be as sloppy and that kind of thing.
Come on girls, let's go. Come on, come on, come on, good girls, come on. Come on, milking time. Come on, you can. Come on, it's milking time. Come on. Good girls. I think it's fair to say when the rain came, it came pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So like if you had the 0 grays out in the field, it would have just been mush.
Yeah.
And then you're just wasting feed.
Yeah,
but then
feed, and you'd have more work in the parlour then as well as everything else, because the cows would be lying down where they were dunging and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the most straightforward thing to do then was use our new feeding area, and Tara was able to bring the 0 grays grass and lay it off, and then I could bring it in with the loader into the central passage, just where it was too low to get the wagon in. What we decided to do then in terms of with the cows, rather than having all the cows inside all the time, we decided to split them into two, have half of them indoors, say during the day, and half of them outdoors, and then swap them around then. So vice versa, at night time the half that was inside during the day would be outside, and that just meant that they were getting, I suppose, grazed grass and 0 grazed grass, and maybe less pressure on the sheds, rather than having the full amount of cows inside. Having half them just meant that they were a lot cleaner and it was easier to manage.
It was about a week.
Yeah, I was going to say that, about a week to 10 days we did that. So, and that just meant that then we were able to build up enough grass then to keep the cows out, and all of them out on a full-time basis.
Yeah, because once they went out after that week, they've stayed out.
Yeah, what
Ever
happened?
since.
Yeah, I suppose since the drought, we have had a fair amount of rain, like getting to the point where I know some herds in the west had to house cows, in the west of Ireland had to house cows because it got so wet.
Yeah. In August.
In August there, yeah. And then now we're after having a good spell again, and now we're gone into, I suppose, autumn weather now. It's kind of cold and showers at the moment. So the daylight hours are closing down as well, so there's less drying, and that means then that, you know, ground can just get a little bit trickier from now on. But so far so good. The cows are still full time outside, and hopefully we can continue to keep them out, I suppose, day and night up to maybe the end of October, and then for the month of November we might be on off grazing. Yeah.
So they'll be probably outside during the day and then inside at night.
Yeah.
And actually, hopefully, I know a couple of people have asked for a grassland video, so like grassland management, grass measuring. So hopefully we will go on a grass walk with Pádraig next week. So we had a couple of questions about have we scanned yet as well, which we did at the end of August. So we ended up with 7% empty overall over the cows and the heifers, so we're pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
It meant we had 10 cows empty, and then the heifers we were probably a little bit more disappointed with. There was 26 heifers and 3 of them were empty. Overall it worked out okay because we had enough cows in calf. Anyway, we had surplus cows and heifers than what we needed on the farm. So we've sold the empty cows, and then we also sold 9 of the latest calving cows. They actually went to New Farm yesterday. That means then that we should be finished calving on by the latest, the 31st of March. So we'll get a nice break then between the end of calving next year and the start of the breeding season.
It also means, from a grass point of view, if you have all the cows with a compact calving, that you're matching their demand with the annual grass growth curve. So their demand will increase after they calve, their dry matter intake demand, and then that'll hopefully be roughly in line with the grass growth increasing and their peak intake and peak grass growth would be around the same in May. Kind of. Not around the same, but that, you know, you'll be matching it to the best of our abilities.
Yeah. So that you don't end up like taking bales out in like April because you don't have enough cows calved and they're not at their peak intakes and such.
And you don't want them calving too early either, that you run out of grass and they're feeding silage. But it's very weather dependent, but you're kind of taking the averages. I suppose the autumn growth now, we don't have as much grass on the farm as we normally would have. We normally build up a bank of grass and eat into it then. And that didn't really happen this year, even though we did our best by increasing supplementation. What we decided to do was sell those cows early, so that it reduced our demand and allowed us to build up grass a little bit better than we were doing with the full herd of cows. You know, you might say that you're losing out on milk sales, but we feel that it makes more sense to reduce the demand now and keep the rest of the cows out on grass for as long as possible, rather than keeping all the cows and then having to introduce silage and then a drop in milk and the quality of the milk at a higher cost, because you have the cows maybe inside on extra meal, the cost of silage and the cost of labour. So now, in other news, oh my gosh, Pádraig has been dying for this to be in a video since we saw the video. He was like, as soon as he saw it, he was like, that needs to go in the next video. This is amazing. The big news is the world's fittest woman, Claire Toomey, CrossFit champion. If you don't know anything about CrossFit, it's basically just like a functional fitness kind of, it's a sport. It's actually very interesting to watch, even if you've no interest in doing it. Like I've watched CrossFit since 2013. I've watched the games every year, like, since then, and I always had a massive interest in it. This lady, Claire Toomey, she's from Australia, but she's living in America now. She's won it the last 2 years. No, 4 years. 4 years now, is it? Yeah. 17, 18, 19. Well, this year's not fully finished, but like she's definitely going to win it. But anyway, so she had a vlog and she talked about what she eats in the day. And one of the first things she eats in the day is Kerrygold butter. I'll put in the clip here. Yeah, put in the clip. I'll put in the clip and you can see that on her MyFitnessPal where she tracks her food, it specifically says Kerrygold butter. Big news. That was big news. That was our big news, yeah. So we're going to have to come up with our own catchphrase for the end of the videos. Eat butter. Eat butter, stay real. Stay real. Right. So it went on for about, where do you want to? No, just we're too close to the other there. See, look, it's a lot better now. No, but there's a big gap in the middle now. Yeah. Oh, come back. What do you say? Do you want to take all that stuff away from behind you there, because it's kind of disrupting the view. You can't see it, sure. Yeah, you can. Look, right there. You're gonna leave it on the floor like that? Nobody can see it. Freya, you can lie there. Give me patience.